This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon. Welcome to a still drizzly day here in Djuma. It's cold, it's overcast, it's raining, but we're out and about. We're going to scan around the entire reserve and see what wonderful animals we can find for you, because it's your live safari through the African bush. Welcome everyone, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Simon's going to give you a view of the very grey skies up above that we are facing today. You can just see up here, well, I'm not sure if you can see, but it's very grey, very cloudy. I think we're in store for more rain, but we're prepared for it. We've got our rain roof on and our rain covers on. My name is Lauren and I do have Simon on camera today, and we're out in Djuma Private Game Reserve, hoping to find more animals than we were able to find this morning. So we're going to drive and look for tracks. Now, when it's wet, it's really not easy. It's really not easy, but everyone is desperate to see a leopard, so we may as well try. So before I forget, it's your live safari. We do this for all of you. So you must talk to us, especially on a rainy day. We really, really need it. You're welcome to tell us a joke or two, or maybe even three. But use the @FC on the YouTube chat. You can use the hashtag Wild Earth on Twitter. Kids, we like to hear from you the most. Don't tell the adults. So you email us using the email address kidsquestions@wildearth.tv, or you can head over to our website now, wildearth.tv/explorers, and ask. Oh, hello Impala. Okay, Simon, let's see if we can get them through here. Good afternoon. They don't look very happy. Can you hear that noise? Meh, meh. That's the lilac-breasted roller that's calling. Such an ugly call. I can't see the bird, I can just hear the call. Hear it? Almost. Sounds like an impala snort. You'd be forgiven for thinking it was. James, you're sending positive vibes and good thoughts for us to find some spots. That's what I want. How did you know? I haven't seen a leopard since I came back from leave, and I really want to catch up with every single one of them. I almost got quarantined for you last time. Almost. His territory, he was born on quarantine where I am right now, but his territory is much more far east where we don't really traverse or get signal. But I almost had him for you last time, and the Buffels Hook receiver just decided to die that day. So it was rather disappointing. So I want to catch up with all the leopards, introduce you to new ones. And of course, Miss Shadulu has been making love to Hukamori once again. So great news. We might actually get some mating leopards at some point. So these impalas look rather startled, but we're going to continue our bumble, see what we can find, and we're going to send you guys down to Deirdre with some wildebeest.
Good afternoon and welcome to another hot day at Tswalu. We're sitting at 33 degrees, 91 Fahrenheit. I'm Deirdre, and on camera with me, Dobby! And we have a very obliging wildebeest because he is literally 5 meters away and he hasn't moved. When we drove past him, he's just like, it's almost like he's saying, yeah, man. You can actually just see he's busy chewing the cud. So it looks like he's chewing gum. But, oh, he's stopped now because he's swallowed, and then that'll go into the stomach, and he's got a 4-chambered stomach. And the little bolus of food came back up again. And he continues to re-chew. And The success of a ruminant, so an animal that has a 4-chambered stomach like this wildebeest, is that they can eat and eat and eat in the cooler times of the day, and then when it is hot and they know the predators are sleeping and they're also going to lie down, this is the time where they're actually able to process the food properly. So they can be alert, what's going on around them, they're resting their body, but at the same time basically regurgitating, rechewing their food and swallowing it. And then it'll go through all the different stomachs, the omasum, the abomasum, the rumen and the reticulum. I forget which order they're all in, but that's the names of the stomachs. And then they'll get pretty much the maximum out of what they've eaten. So he's been grazing this morning, and that's basically, he's just rechewing what he's been eating this morning. Oh, afternoon. A very nice illustration that I keep saying he, because it is a wildebeest bull. And when he turns his head sideways, you can see that his ears are shorter than his horns. And we're going to send you across now to Mike, who wants to say hello with his Ellies.
We are here on a rather dramatic summer's afternoon. The wind is blowing, the clouds are rolling, and these elephants are eating. Not so far from Ndlovu Dam, where they just had a bit of a swim, which I couldn't imagine right now because it's quite a chilly afternoon. Hi everyone, my name is Mike Anderson. Behind the camera is Seb. You've joined us at Eco Training's Pride Lands Conservancy, where our students are also about to join us in a sighting of these elephants. It's an awesome afternoon. It's so nice to have these elephants close by that the students can practice their game driving skills and watch animal behavior. And these elephants are behaving very well at the moment. They are just feeding gently on the grass. As you can see, this very calm and happy looking elephant with gorgeous long eyelashes. And a little bit of sleep in its eye. Maybe it was having a bit of a snooze earlier. A little bit of sleep in its eye. This one is one of the elephants that just had a swim in the dam. So you can see that its tusks are very bright colors from all the bathing that it was doing. All the mud and dirt has been washed off. You can see that incredibly dexterous trunk picking up leaves and branches from underneath this dead pile of sticks. See how gently it's able to pluck the grass. So what it's looking for is the softest grass that has been protected from... Oh, there comes a big gust of wind. The grass has been protected from feeding by the fallen branches that these elephants probably pushed over, in fact. It's eating these long blades of grass that are highly nutritious. When the grass is growing, it's arguably more nutritious than the leaves on the trees, to be honest. This is buffalo grass that it's feeding on, and the scientific name is Panica maximum, and it is the most, or at least one of the most nutritious of all the grasses. It's a sign of good, healthy grassland, good soil. Oh, didn't like whatever that was. Just spat that right out. I guess not every part of the grass is tasty, but it's eating that grass and it's highly nutritious, so this is a good time of year for everything. Last night, in fact, we had a massive termite eruption, where there were millions of termites flying out of the termite mounds. Matthew, I'm not exactly sure why it's called buffalo grass. Maybe it's because buffaloes are very massive and the grass is also quite massive when it grows. It grows very tall and very long, and it likes the shady areas. But I'm not exactly sure. So we call it buffalo grass as a common name. There's many different names that grasses and all sorts of plants go by. So I'm not exactly sure why it's called buffalo grass. So most guides, and in fact, if you really want to be specific about these plants, you must call them by their scientific name. As I said, that particular type of grass is called Panica maximum. Because many times I've had, not arguments, let's say discussions with students and with other guides saying, you know, this is buffalo grass, and they'd say, no, this is called white buffalo grass, and then they'd say, no, this is called guinea grass. And then you point it in the book and they say, yeah, but Panica maximum, that's what I was talking about. So trees, plants and birds all have different names all over the world, even though they are the same. Well, so this elephant now has noticed that we're here. Don't act like you didn't know we were sitting here. And you can see it's just walking in front of the vehicle here, very calm. It's not a very big elephant, a very short elephant, quite young, probably only about 20 years old, maybe slightly older. Certainly old enough to be calm with the vehicles and know exactly what they are. And the sound of my voice carries over to it. So it certainly knows that we're not trying to cause any issues at all. Well, we've got the one elephant that hadn't yet swum is going down there. Wants to look like he wants to have a swim maybe, but it's very cold. He's got his trunk up like this. So maybe he's trying to sniff the air and see what's coming or what's happening. It feels almost like there might be a bit of rain that comes soon. But you can see that elephant now still very brown in colour, not dark like the other elephants, light in colour because it hasn't been in the water for a while. So it might go and have a bit of a bathe now. It's actually making a beeline straight towards our camp. Let's hope it doesn't cause any havoc there in our camp. These elephants are in our camp almost every single day because of the water hole that's right next to it, and because during the winter it's very dry. Only green trees are in our camp. I think the question was from Seb about the differences between males and females. Am I correct? Male and female elephants? Am I correct? Or am I hearing things? I'm listening to the voices in my head. Right, so elephants are not easy to tell apart at first, but once you know what you're looking for. This elephant that you could see there had a nice rounded forehead, and that gives a great indication that it's a male. Females have sharp, sort of angular foreheads. This one's got a nice big round forehead. So that's a sign of a male, because they've got big heads, big skulls for pushing against each other. And then, of course, there's usually the obvious sign between the legs. You can see a bit of a sheath hanging down. That's the penile sheath. That houses an elephant's prodigious fifth leg. Then you've got the tusks, which are normally quite widely spaced and thicker than the female's tusks. Not always, but generally speaking, thicker and wider, not necessarily longer, because that's purely genetics. And then if a male and female were next to each other, you would see a huge difference in size. That elephant would be far larger than any females in this area. I think we're getting to almost the limit of this camera's panning, unfortunately, until I move the vehicle, but it's heading straight towards where our students often sit to watch the waterhole. It's interesting, they really thread their way over some fallen branches that have been put there by the students to create a barrier, and it's walking straight over them. I think it wants to get to the other side of the dam. So what we're going to do, we're going to send you over to some other elephants that are doing a bit of fighting whilst we make our way to the dam to see what this one's going to do.
We have lots of elephants completely blocking the road. Two males were having a little bit of a tussle. I love how much whiter the tusks look when the skin is so dark because they're wet. It makes them look really, really dark, sometimes almost black, and their tusks really stand out against that background. Elephants relish the water, though. All those wrinkles in their skin hold on to it. The water, the moisture stays in the wrinkles, which is exactly why they have them. It must feel really good on dry skin. Really, really dry skin that can get itchy. And then you cover it in water. These are the two boys that have been tussling.
Good afternoon, station data out on trial.
Tussling anymore. They like to annoy each other, the male elephants. Now that's not aggressive. That's just two boys annoying one another, as boys like to do. But look at the one on the left. He's wrapped his trunk around his tusk. Listen. You can hear the clanging of their tusks against one another. They're just being boisterous. Boys will be boys, they say. Practicing their wrestling moves. Spas, nice to hear from you, and you're right, nothing better than spending time with elephants. But we're slightly down on the sort of decline of a slope, and seeing animals that size above you, not above you, but ahead of you, slightly elevated, is quite a feeling. The boys are still going. Look, I can hear them. I'm not going to drive any closer just yet, but once they get up a little further up ahead, we will. And I know this sounds very bizarre, but elephants love to touch one another. Not in a rude way. Oh. Come on, boys. They're very tactile beings. They communicate through body rubbing, through sort of pressing their foreheads together, trunks. And clearly tussling like these guys. Another elephant's about to bomb the shot. Is that another male? I think we've got 3 males here. That one that just appeared on the scene is very large. It could be a little bachelor group. That's possible. As you know, the males get ousted. They leave the herd. And they can form bachelor herds with other youngsters. Or they can actually join older bulls. The younger ones are known as askaris, which means young warriors. And they'll learn from the older bull, they'll learn from the gentleman, and they'll also help to protect him in return. Okay, we're going to go forward very slowly, Simon. Just want to make sure there's no elephants that I haven't spotted around the corner. We saw this herd from a distance, so I do know that there's a lot more elephants somewhere in the thicket, but knowing the boys, they're probably just straggling behind. Okay, there's one, but we're not going to get a visual. Bear with me. Here we go. They're still going strong. The females are in the background. Tim, you're asking how can we differentiate between fighting? To be honest, it's very obvious. I think anyone could. And they're not really using much aggression. Look at their body language. They're just shoving one another. They're just being boys. Boys like to rough and tumble. I had a brother and he always did wrestling moves on me. It took him a long time to realise I wasn't a boy. And they're just playing. They've got energy. They've probably got a lot of testosterone. They love that sort of annoying one another almost. You see it all the time in young male elephants. Aggression would be a lot worse. There would be a lot of vocalizations. There would probably be completely different body posture. The moves themselves would be a lot more aggressive. An elephant and bulls can actually kill one another with their tusks. It's definitely possible. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead again, ever so slowly. So you can see if I'm messing around with my friend and we've got each other in a headlock and we're pushing one another. I don't do that with my friends, but you know what I'm saying. Or if it's a real fight, you can tell, and it's a lot more aggressive if it's a real fight between males, and it's not nice. It's not nice to watch whatsoever. Okay, I'm just going to pull up here so that they can get past if anyone needs to. Non-stop elephant fun. They are trying to dominate each other, don't get me wrong. They're trying to establish, hey, I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you. It's not aggressive, they're not fighting over anything. Older bulls can fight over the ladies. I think they're getting a bit annoyed with one another now. They've both walked separate ways. I think the rest of the herd is up here. There is a lot of dung in my path. Shall we slip and slide our way there, Simon? Wet mud and fresh elephant dung. I love that smell. I really do. I think I'm going to go into low range for this. Because it's summer and it's so thick. Or a really, really thick patch of bush that you've not seen and you end up startling with your vehicle, that would be a mistake. Okay, so we've got some here. I think here we have the females. We're just going to give you one last view of some smaller, lovely little ladies that are not tussling with one another and being very graceful.
Wild Earth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special Wild Earth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a Wild Earth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Moritz and I come to you live every day from Tswalu, Kalahari here in South Africa. My favorite thing is probably the predators. And as you can see, we're looking at some of them right now. These are the kings of the Kalahari. Spending time with the cats, it's just a privilege. And I love their behavior, you know, the more that you look at them, just the power and the sheer beauty and elegance of them.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
Hello, boy. You are a monster. And he's coming right up to us. Hello, boy. Oh, settle down. Settle down. He is very, very close. He's pushing his trunk against the car. You can feel the car moving. Hey, 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 hey. Stop that.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth Daily.
Good afternoon, everybody, and a rather chilly welcome to And Beyond Ngala. We've been treated early on this afternoon to this wonderful sighting of 2 lionesses and 2 cubs. It's nice to see that they are out in the open, probably enjoying a little bit of relief from the rain. My name is Eric, and behind camera, as always, is BK. And yeah, well, this is where we started this morning, or this afternoon. We wanted to come and look this morning, but unfortunately we were a bit caught up in the rain. So we've come out, the clouds are quite high and nothing looking too heavy. So hopefully it will be okay for the rest of the afternoon. And it's been nice. We've just come to the last position of where they are found this morning. And it looks like they're still quite sleepy, but it's nice to see that that lioness is up and moving around. So you can see there's the second cub. It was hiding directly behind the mother. And so all 4 of them looking quite nice and cozy. Every now and again they pick up the heads, but no real intention to move around. I'm hoping this continues with those cubs on the left-hand side. Maybe we get to see them play around a little bit more as the day gets on. It'll be cool to see them fighting and wrestling with one another. And so, with these cubs showing promise to move around, we're not going to be going anywhere. So I'm going to stay put here and watch them. And whilst we wait for some action, Kim has got a beautiful...
Welcome to And Beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve. As you can see, we have been very lucky in the very start of our drive and found this beautiful cheetah with her one very young cub right out in the open. We couldn't have asked for a more beautiful day. We've got clouds all over the sky, but there's a very nice breeze. My name is Kim, and behind the camera we have Owen, and we will be with you this afternoon. So this is just a really stunning day in Africa. I can't tell you, as we're driving, it's just the most beautiful scene. You can see it's really lovely blue sky poking out of these clouds, and there's an amazing light that's coming onto these cheetah. And as you can see, she's got a very young cub that's busy suckling. It's amazing to see one that's so young. It's still got that very dark fur underneath, the long fur at the top of the back. And what's wonderful is this, I've only ever seen this cheetah with her cub a few times. You can see that those spots are starting to develop in that dark coat. And literally the last time I saw them, all you could see was some spots on the bottom of the legs. The rest was still dark. Oh, something startled it. Look at that face. So I don't know if the viewers who've been watching for a few days, I'm sure you would notice that this female now has 1 cub as opposed to 3. So we do think that something has happened to the other 2 the night before last. There was a lion in the area, but we don't think it was a lioness that has done anything to the cubs, because her tracks seem to go away from this cheetah. So it possibly was a leopard. There was also a leopard reported in the area, and that's the sort of brutal nature of the African wild. You know, there's this huge hierarchy and competition amongst predators, and they do try and actively kill each other's cubs. And a lot of people talk about the competition over food and why that's something that will drive them to try and eliminate the competition. And that's certainly an element of it. But I think the greater element is that instinctively, lion and leopard know that cheetah will kill their cubs should they come across their den site. And so when they see an opportunity to try and kill a cheetah, which is a future threat to their cubs, they will do so. So that is unfortunately what seems to have happened here. We are not sure, though. There is a possibility that they actually separated and she hasn't managed to find her other cubs yet. That does happen from time to time. But generally then you'll see her still calling and looking around, which she hasn't been doing for a while. So possibly she actually saw that something managed to catch her cubs, and that's why she's not actively looking for them. Sorry, the call is breaking up quite a bit on my end. I can't copy that question. Rachie, so in terms of coming into territory, there's a difference between male and females. Now, female cheetah don't hold a territory, they hold a home range, which is a similar thing to a territory, but it's an area that's generally a bit larger and they don't actively defend it. That being said, other females come into their territory and they won't try and fight over it. Males do hold a territory. And what will go into selecting their territory is generally the availability of prey and the ideal sort of setup for them. So the more open areas, such as the one we're seeing this cheetah in, the better. Now, they're very capable of hunting in thicker areas because they've got those claws. If you see those claws, you can see that they actually don't retract them like other predators. They're constantly out, which gives them good traction. And they've got a flat end to their one tail, which means they can change direction really quickly. So at a sprint, they're very capable of hunting in thicker areas because they can change direction and dodge trees. But the problem is they make a kill there. Suddenly they can't see very far because of all the trees blocking their view. And that way they become less aware of predators. You can imagine when they're busy feeding, there's a lot of crunching going on, there's a lot of blood in their nostrils, so they actually can't keep aware of any predators around. So ideal territory, lots of open areas, lots of prey. Males, quite interestingly, with their territories, their most ideal territory is 2 sections and then a long, thin line in between them that they patrol up and down. And the reason for that is they try and get the scent of females that cross through their territories, and then they can follow that scent to find the females so they can mate. It's not always possible for many males in one area to have that kind of territory, so you'll often find that the most dominant pair hold that long, thin territory, and then the other ones have a similar territory structure, more to lions and leopards with like a circular structure, just a small section that they'll defend. But this female, she will move through the areas based on where the prey is and also where the least amount of predators are. So the second she finds something that's a threat to her cub, she'll actually try and move out of that area, get away from it, and find another open area where she finds there's an availability of prey and less predators around. So you'll actually see our females move around our entire reserve. And what's really beautiful is that when their cubs grow older, so when they're about to become independent, what we've noticed is they take them on sort of a tour of the entire reserve, knowing that they're about to become independent, and they want to make sure they know the entire area, so they know, then explain if they're ever in a scary situation or a dangerous situation, so they know exactly where to go next. So we are going to sit with these cheetah for as long as we can. You can see that beautiful black and white stripe on that little cub. Mike's going to show you another animal that's got little black and white on it.
So with the rain threatening to come down on us any moment, potentially, we've decided to stop here in a little open clearing that's called Zebra Clearing. And there's some zebras, lots of impalas, a wildebeest, some little warthogs, and a whole nursery of little baby impalas as well. So they've all come to this open area because it's safe for them. In this windy conditions, leopards and lions can easily stalk up to them. So by coming into this nice open area, all these females who've just given birth can all feed together with watchful eyes of many, including the zebra and the wildebeest, and leave all of their babies in a tight little bunch where they can remain safe from the predators and at least give them a fighting chance. See, there's the whole creche over here. So as you can see, they're all sitting on this little bit of a termite mound, all the tiny little impalas, some of them only days old perhaps, able to look out amongst the grass and towards the bushes on the drainage line, just learning, also watching their parents, seeing what the parents do, watching us as well. Some of these might never have seen a vehicle before. I see some of them there are already eating grass, so some of them might be a few weeks old already. Actually don't know how long it takes for an impala lamb to wean, which means to stop drinking milk and start eating solids, but some of them are definitely eating solids, and they can't be much more than, well, at the most a month old. At absolute most, because around about 12th of November, I think 10th to 12th of November, were the first lambs being born. So these ones that are chewing like that must be some of the ones that were born first. As you can see, they put them all together and we call this a creche, and all the mothers can go and feed. Oh, look at this. There's some cool stuff happening here. I just see a wildebeest there lying on the ground, is rolling over. That's a big male wildebeest, and they do that as a territorial marker. So he's got a really good territory, this wildebeest. Nice open grassy clearings, which is exactly what the wildebeest want for food. Then there's trees for shade if it gets too hot. And there's a dam not so far away called Ndlovu Dam, the one that's next to our eco training camp. And so there'll be many female wildebeest that pass through here. And so he leaves a scent marker so that any that do come through will be able to know that he is the dominant male, and they'll be looking to him if they want mating opportunities, which is important. Oh, and now I can feel the pitter-patter of the rain as it starts to come down. It's very light at the moment, but you might see if it starts to rain more, these impalas might move into the cover. Elizabeth, I totally agree with you. It's so nice to see groups of animals like this, and although they are not directly working together, by associating like this, these animals do help each other. More eyes and ears to spot the danger, which is always important. There's one male impala, which is looking out for this herd. I don't see any other big males anywhere nearby, so he might actually be the father of most of these young impala. And the wildebeests will be able to, is very tall, able to spot danger. The zebras are very alert animals, they'll be able to spot danger. And they're all eating different things. Impalas are known as mixed feeders. So Elizabeth, they can eat basically anything, any green vegetation they can feed on, leaves and grasses. Then there's the wildebeest, which is a short grass specialist, the warthog there, which digs around for roots and bulbs, so it's also not directly competing, and the zebra doesn't mind eating the longer grass. So all of them work together, well, not really work together, but can live together in complete harmony, no problems at all. The warthogs, all these animals often follow each other. And if there were baboons, which we actually saw recently, just up the hill, not so far from here, baboons often feed in the trees, and warthogs and impalas will follow under those trees and eat anything that gets dropped by the baboons. Some of the nutritious stuff that they can't get to. Super fantastic. And this is a little male warthog, not such a huge male, a young male. You can tell because he's got 4 warts on his face, 2 on each side. He's having a bit of a scratch there. Tough skin, but still get lots of things like ticks and fleas, and sometimes even oxpeckers, those birds. What is that? It's a little twirly there. I think they're all just super happy to have this rain. Well, whilst we enjoy this lovely comical scene, I'm going to send you over to Lauren, who's got a hyena.
We found a piece of driftwood at the hyena den. Oh no, wait, that's a hyena. Sorry. Hello, June. Are you alive there, my dear? Yes, her chest is rising and falling. She's breathing. It's all okay. She hasn't moved a muscle since we've arrived. Now, I know I spend a lot of time at the den, but what I'm finding quite interesting is visiting the den at different times, on different types of days now, because the weather's been so bad. It's chilly, it's overcast. The rain has subsided for now. Don't think it's going to stay that way. I just thought, let's check the den and see what kind of activity is happening. And lo and behold, Miss June is here. Oh, she opened her eyes here. Hello. Now, I'd love to see the cub fully out. I've only guesstimated at the age of this cub by seeing his head, really. I'd love to see the entire body, and you can start to see how it's walking. So although hyena cubs are far more precocial than leopards and lions, they're born with their eyes open. Not fully, though. You read in text that it's fully open. I don't think it's fully, but still, they can move, they can wriggle, they can walk, and their canines, their baby canines, have erupted. So they're a lot sort of further developed than the other predators. But they are still technically altricial in that they do need to be stashed in a den. They're not very mobile, not like impala lambs. They're quite weak in their back legs. They've got that slanting sort of slope on their hind legs anyway, which gives them a very energy-efficient gait and energy-efficient walk. But as a cub, they're very wobbly. They're not very good. They're still learning to coordinate the muscles and the legs, and they stumble, they fall. So I'd really just like to see the cub completely out, get a full body shot, and then we can really gauge how old it is. But June's doing well. She's been a good mama. Hyenas are incredible mothers. I know they have a bad reputation and a lot of people don't like them. I see some terrible things being said about them online, but they really are fantastic mothers. So I think we're just going to stay here a tad longer in case the cub pops itself out. But I believe Kim's cheetahs are on the move.
Welcome back. So, as we came back to us, you can see that mother is walking through the grass. She actually had this beautiful little call and got that cub running behind her. It just shows how wonderful that cub's camouflage is. You can't even see that cub in the grass now. Amazing how well it blends in. I think what she's doing, she might actually be looking to try and catch something. She was looking very, very skinny. I could see by her back hip bones, her stomach was really sunken in. So she's quite hungry. And it's possibly the first time she's been brave enough to actually try and make a kill since she's lost her cubs, or since we think she lost her cubs. So she seems like she's going off in search of some impala or something around the area. You can see how she's stopping and looking around. It's quite classic of when they're going hunting, stop every now and then, scan. Got excellent eyesight. Apparently they can see about 5 kilometers quite clearly. So that's exactly what she's doing now. We're not going to off-road after these cheetah, not with such young cubs. The main reason is to be sensitive to that cub. We really want them to be quite relaxed with vehicles, so slowly let them get used to our presence. And of course, having a big vehicle lumbering off after them so early on is going to make them a bit more nervous. So we're going to let them walk over. I'm going to loop around onto the next road and see if we can get another view of them there. And hopefully we can see them moving along. There's quite a few open areas along this, just in front of us. I can't see any signs of impala or inyala around there, but I'm sure that's where they might be headed. I've just completely lost view now. So I think what we'll do, let's get onto that road, let's turn around and try and head onto the next road, see if we can find them again there. I tell you, cheetah have always been one of my favorite cats, and I think it's because they are just so underappreciated. There's so much going against them, They've really got to be very selective about when they hunt, because every time they hunt, they're at risk of injuring themselves. And that's exactly why she's waited until she's this hungry, because it's such a risk for her to actually try and catch anything.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm just listening to updates on the radio. Don't quite know what happened to Pinda, but they'll be back with us shortly, I am sure. Technology in the wild. It's not easy. June has moved, which is fabulous news. Not by much, but still. She must have been very active last night. June's quite a pale hyena. If you see that sort of hair on her neck, she's quite pale. Some hyenas can be very deep fawn in colour. Pretty was very, very fawny. But June's quite a pale one. Even her spot pattern's pale. And they do say that as a hyena ages, her spot pattern, it stays the same. It's always there, but they do tend to lighten as they get a little bit older. The cubs are probably sleeping very hard inside that den right now, I would imagine. I just think it's interesting to visit at different times. If this was a really, really hot day, I don't think she would be here. The more time you spend with hyenas, the more you can learn about their interactions. There's still some relationships I'm not entirely sure about. Corky and June being one of them. I've just sort of assumed that Corky was the lowest ranker. But now I'm wondering, maybe I've got that wrong. Maybe it's actually June and Corky's just slightly higher than her. But until we see some interactions, it's going to be impossible to determine that. June's a daughter of Scarback, a hyena that's no longer with us, but quite an iconic one. And she was seen in the month of June, believe it or not. Can you believe that? In 2015. So June's only 5.5. And I wonder if she used the Mvubu den. I was checking the Mvubu den quite a lot before I left for leave, and there's definitely active in terms of something is living in there. It's been freshly dug out, but I wasn't sure it was a hyena. I couldn't see any signs of hyena, be it scat or tracks. But I wonder if that was the natal den for this little cub. And everything changed for June in November. Or was it December? I think it was December 2000. No, it was November 2019, where she was so badly beaten up. So I think we'll give it a few more minutes, just in case that cute little cub pops his head out.
As you can see, not too much happening here. Every now and again the cubs are picking up their heads and looking. So the cubs are every now and again using the adults as pillows, but they're all in quite a nice tight group, so probably just trying to keep a little bit of warmth. But I was thinking if there were a day for lions to get active a bit earlier than usual at this time of year, today is the day. The wind is keeping the temperature really nice and low, and this cloud is creating this plain light, so it would make hunting conditions quite ideal for these two lionesses. And the one on the right-hand side is looking, she's not looking completely skinny, but remember a couple of days ago, see that the cubs reacting to another vehicle coming in. So although they've seen vehicles for the last almost 8.5 months or so, they still react. And they just got that curious cub nature. And those faces are really cute. And just look at how perfect it is. Not a single scar on the bridge of the nose. All of that patterning around the face is beautiful. That beautiful black, white, and golden just really, really makes him look stunning.
Very hard, and apparently you do not have my audio. I'm not sure what I can do about that. Oh, you have my audio back. I don't know what happened there. Yes, we're going to let June sleep, but I think I might pop back a little bit. The area is out furiously searching for leopards, ingwes. No one knows where any leopards are. So I'm going to join in on a search and see if I can help. And then we'll come back and maybe keep an eye on wet, soggy June. We have managed to see the cub, which is so wonderful. And I still think there's just one, but I guess there could actually be two in that day. And really, you could be surprised. Dam cam. She was carrying it south from the road, from our camp, south past the dam cam. And that would also make sense. We should install cameras at every single dam and do a hyena watch. We can have a dam cam and a hyena cams, many of them. Okay, so hopefully Pinda's back with us and nice and stable. I'm going to send you across to Kim and her cheetah.
Thanks, Lawrence, for your concern. Everything is good, but what we are watching is quite a beautiful scene. A little bit heartbreaking at the same time. I don't know if you just saw that female give a little call there. So you can see the cub is right next to her, so she's not calling her cub back. It looks like she's still trying to find the two she lost 2 nights ago. She's gone into a termite mound, giving her a bit of vantage, and is giving soft little calls. I think, you know, what she's concerned about at the moment is the more she calls, the more attention she draws to herself and her remaining cub, and she doesn't want to put them in any danger, but she obviously is still searching for the other two. So I think it's quite a complex thing that she's going through. She wants to cover a lot of ground looking for the other two, but at the same time she's quite nervous because this is very close to where she potentially lost them. Obviously very aware of the fact that there are other predators that can be in this area. So she's trying to stay to the open areas, give herself a vantage point, not draw too much attention to herself, and make sure she's in an area where she can keep that cub safe. It's actually quite a stunning scene here. You can see that contrast between the mother and the cub beautifully from the back now. And that long white hair in the cub's back. Because with cheetah, they have their den sites actually in clumps of grass. So the first 3 months generally, I think this cub's just a little bit younger than that, they'll hide them in a clump of grass while they go off and hunt. And you can see how well that long white fur at the back would work in that kind of situation. A little bit different to how a leopard and lion's den, up in rocky outcrops generally or in thickets of trees. And also cheetah will move their den sites quite frequently. But as you can see, that cover's going to develop the spots a little bit later. Oh yeah, listen to this. Shenzi, yes, the fur will shorten and get thinner, especially, quite quickly as they age now. Now, around the back of the neck, if you have a look at that mother's fur there, it's actually completely short now. And that's how you tend to age younger cheetah. Generally between 2.5, they all that long hair at the back will be about the same length as this. So this female's just got into the age where she's lost that longer fur. This is actually her first litter. So it's wonderful to see that she is actually mating and can breed. It's one of the things we do worry about is some females aren't fertile or they carry diseases, so they have failed litters. They give birth to cubs that are blind or something else, and that comes from a long line of a very limited genetic gene pool. But luckily here at Phinda, we've managed to try and diversify our gene pool quite a bit. We started with cheetah from Namibia, actually, and we've brought in a whole lot of different cheetah since. And I'm sure you've been watching the success of that female from Ashia and the rewilding of that cheetah and how we're hoping that's going to diversify our gene pool. But as you can see, this is the success and the proof right here. It's a successful cub from a female that's just reached breeding age. Shame she is calling quite intently for other cubs. As I say, all hope isn't quite lost. They could still be here somewhere. Their instinct would be to remain hidden. So just as they're in a den site, they'll find a clump of grass where their mothers left them and they'll stay quiet and still there. It could be just a bit further away, remaining hidden, but not able to hear the mother's call. Because if they did hear her, what they would be doing is they'd be calling back. Or if they were close enough, they'd actually run to this call. So it could be that they've hidden themselves just a bit further away and she hasn't managed to find them. Suffix, that's a good question. And in terms of percentage, you're going to get different answers from every source you can possibly imagine because it's not the same from reserve to reserve. What I can say is that in Phinda, we generally have about 2 or 3 out of the cubs that make it to adulthood, if that. So it's way less than 50%, maybe 20 or 30%. But they generally have anywhere between 1 and 6 cubs. Now, cheetah will have a higher number of cubs in the beginning, and that's because they know that the mortality is high. Not that the cheetah knows when she becomes pregnant, but it's like an adaptation that they have. They know that they've just adapted in a way that they'd rather have more cubs in the beginning and lose some, and then eventually at least have 2 or 3 that make it to adulthood. For instance, this female, when we first found her, she had 5 cubs and she's now down to 1, which sounds terrible, but that is the way nature goes. And it is her first litter, so she's learning still how to keep them safe. They're going to have to adapt and learn how, especially with cubs, to keep those safe. And the most important thing is that she survives because you know, she's got many litters in her future, and we need these breeding females to be able to pass on their genes and keep the population strong. There's only about 7,100 teacher left in the wild, so we really need to try and save every one that we can. There's actually just in front, there's an African harrier hawk that's being mobbed by a bird that just flew past. 2 birds, actually. I have to admit, this is a beautiful Phinda scene. You know, we're on a hill here, overlooking this beautiful valley in front with all these beautiful trees in the mountain in the background. And we're going to send you over to Eric with some animals that are doing a little bit more relaxed this afternoon.
So again, just the cubs reacting to a couple of vehicles moving around. And I mean, it's not looking promising yet for the 2 lionesses to show sign of movement. But I'm hopeful, especially with these conditions that we're experiencing at the moment. And you know, especially for these 2. So the one that we've got in frame at the moment is essentially the auntie of both the mother of the 2 cubs and the 2 cubs themselves. And she's been separated from the majority of the pride for the last 3 or 4 days at least, probably a bit more than that. She was by herself for 2 days, and then sometime throughout the night last night she managed to find her way towards this lioness and her 2 cubs. And so if she wants to return to her own cubs, she might be wanting to get up and start moving in that direction if she's not looking for something to hunt. And it's quite a nice, you can just see at the top right corner there that one youngster was trying to find a comfortable position on the auntie's back to use as a pillow, but head out of the wind, trying to keep nice and cool using the mom and auntie as a barrier. So this is the exciting part or within the next month or 2, because we suspect that this lioness and her sister are both quite heavily pregnant. So hopefully within the next month or so, she might be looking to find a spot to have a den site. And we are right where she gave birth to her previous set of litters. So maybe this is an area where she will decide to give birth again. That would just be a phenomenal thing to experience, because the pride is already huge with 16 members, 18 including the 2 males. And if she gives birth and then her sister gives birth, that could potentially be another 6 additions to the pride, which will be fantastic. So those 2 lionesses are almost identical in size, and the lioness on the left, who is the younger one and the mother of the 2, she, I mean, for a long time you could see she was considerably smaller than the rest of the lionesses in the pride. But since motherhood, it seems like she's just filling in. Are we going to send you off to another feed quickly?
Welcome back to Tualu. How cute is that? It's like, wait, Daddy, wait. It's a little baby ostrich. There's at least 7 with that pair there. We're just going to see. What do you think, Darby backwards? So that's the male. They were following, they were between them. Let me go forward. Maybe they're moving through the open area. But there's at least 7 little fluffy chicks that are following the parents there. Just too cute. Remember that if you've got any questions, you can send them to us at #WildEarth. Put @FC in front of your question, and then we can answer it. Let me just adjust position. It is a relatively open area, so we might get another glimpse of them. Otherwise, we're going to have to try and see if we can find another road on the other side. You got them. Back. Oh, just Dad for now. What a proud parent. Well done. To have that many, which means that's quite a success rate on the actual clutch of eggs hatching. They sit on about 14 eggs at a time, can be sort of up to about 17 eggs, 14 to 17 eggs, which is pretty impressive. And there was at least sort of 7, possibly even up to 10, but we didn't get to count them all. But I'm glad you got a glimpse of that little one running on their short little stumpy legs. Yeah, let's go forward a little bit, but we can see if we can get you another glimpse of those. So those parents would be on super high alert for any ground predators. They're probably one of their biggest ones would be jackal, and maybe even some aerial predators, some of the larger eagles. And to get that many all the way to adulthood is quite a challenge. I just saw the male, maybe long distance through that gap coming. There we go. You got it? Okay. There we go. So we're just going to patiently wait. That looks like mum. So the chicks will be running in behind her at some point. They're still really, really tiny. So at night time they'll gather them underneath and then sort of keep them warm in their wings. But ostrich chicks are precocial, so already born, or they already hatch with a down covering, which enables them to sort of thermoregulate. I'll try just beyond that bush maybe. Sorry, they are walking further and further away from us. But maybe there we go, between the parents. To the right of the mother, I can just see the little legs running in the grass. There's one. See them to the, not to the right, to the left, sorry. Left in the grass. There were a few. Oh, there comes one. From the left-hand side, running across. Yeah, they're getting into, it's almost like a mirage. It's so hot. You can actually see almost that sort of haze, but beautiful, beautiful mountains. I don't know if we're going to get another glimpse of them. They're heading quite far into the block. But that was cute to see, and I'm glad we were able to show you the little ostrich chicks. We're going to send you to Kim. That's got something small to show you.
Welcome back. How cute is this? We've got this mother cheetah walking down the road and her little cub just keeps playing with her, jumping up, trying to tap her back leg. I'm just going to go forward a little bit because they've just gone off on the left. Please excuse the vibrations as we go. We've just lost the view, but they keep walking down this road now. As we were saying before, she's been calling. I think she's gone in search for those other 2 cubs. We're not going to go too close to them because this cub is still getting used to vehicles, and we want the cub to get quite relaxed and not have, any nervous energy around a vehicle. So we're just going to keep a little bit of distance. Going to stop around here. I can see that cub's actually just gone off to the left and is playing on an anthill. I'm sure it's going to come back into view now. Oh, it's actually quite brave. It's staying quite far from the mother. Watch, the mother might call the cub back now, because obviously she's very nervous. She doesn't want to be far away from her cub. Shame, you can almost see her. She just gave a little running trot there. I think she got a view of it again though. I'm sure it's going to pop out in the open. You can see her back legs, how skinny she is. You can see those hip bones sticking out. It's very concave by them. I'm just going to go forward again. can hear the monkey's alarm calling. They've seen her, and that's something she does want to avoid. Oh, there's the cub here. Can you hear those vervet monkeys? They've spotted these cheetah off to the left. Now, the problem with this is that it can actually attract other predators into the area should they hear it. She's using that tree trunk, fallen over tree trunk, as a bit of a vantage point, just like she used that termite mound earlier that we saw. The cub's too small to climb over it, has to go around. How sweet is that? And it's really interesting as she's actually heading straight into the thicker area there, into that drainage line, which is quite an area she needs to avoid. So I think we're going to lose view of her just now. We're going to see if we can keep with her until another vehicle comes. But in the meantime, we're going to send you to Mike in an open plain with some other animals.
I'm controlling the elephants around the
Who needs cheetah babies when you've got these rambunctious little things? Look at these blue wildebeest calves. They're so tiny. I was just saying to Seb now, I think these are probably not much older than about 3 or 4 days at the most. They're so skinny, they haven't even got any muscles yet. They're just like wobbly little things. They even keep getting tired and wanting to sit down after they walk a short distance. Very cute. Here in the big open area that we call Impala Plains. Of course, as always, there's dozens, if not scores of ram impalas, male impalas. Just those 3 wildebeests that are looking after the 2 calves. I wonder where the 3rd calf is. It's 3 females, so I wonder if perhaps one of the calves didn't make it already, but I'm not sure. But really cute, tiny little things. Look at how they stay as close to the mothers as possible. And they're so different looking and tiny, almost as tiny as an impala lamb. Really, really small, but fast. They ran just now, not very far, but they just did a little bit of a gallop. They were very, very fast. So wildebeest look awkward. I don't know if you can hear. There's a bit of wind right now. We've actually got a bit of a big gust coming through. But wildebeest look very strange, right? They don't look very beautiful. Let's put it that way. They look like they've been made up of all sorts of odd parts of different animals. But once they start running, they're like greased lightning. Look at these little things trying to nibble away at the grass. I don't think that they're fully even weaned yet, but they're watching parents and see what see what mum's doing, and they also want to go for it. There they go. See how they just trot away, chasing after each other, full of life and energy. It's a beautiful time to be born. Everything is green. There's lots of food everywhere. You're in a nice open area. It's warm. Today's a little bit windy, but it's not cold at all. Oh, big scratch. Absolutely massive scratch. Now I must run. Maybe it's trying to run away from the itch. That's not going to work. Keep trying. Hey, isn't that so cute? And everything is new for them. Imagine if you were just 3 days old, but already running around. Everything that you sniff is telling you new information. Everything that you nibble on is something different. There's Mum. Hi, Mum. I'm so excited. Look at me go. Look how fast I am. Okay. Wind is new. Rain is new. Grass, sand, absolutely everything is new. It'll actually be an amazing experience. They're actually heading off now because of this big gust of wind that's coming through. I think those wildebeest might head down towards the lower part of this big open clearing in order to protect themselves from the wind. Nadia, it's not so different from trying to find out the gender of buffalo. So basically what you've got to look for is the horn. A male wildebeest's horns are quite a bit broader and heavier than the female, and they've got a thick, strong neck. And they also have the penile sheath that hangs underneath. What What's wrong with these guys? They are running in the sand like this is the funnest thing ever. That's very odd behavior. I wonder if this big gust of wind is really affecting them. But yeah, so what you're looking for is a very broad head and horns that go further out than the ears. So you can see none of these wildebeest's horns go further out than their ears. That's quite a typical sign. So when you look at a wildebeest head on, you'll notice the males have a boss, a bit of a thick bony structure on top of their head, and then the horns go outwards quite far. These are all females. I actually haven't seen a male here for a little bit. He must be down in the drainage line looking after himself. So if you look carefully, although we're quite far now, I'd say we're probably nearly 200 meters away from these wildebeest. These little ones have an umbilical cord still hanging down, and that lasts a couple of weeks before it falls off. Whoa, so much energy, look at me go. That's amazing. So this is important, what it's doing right now. It needs to strengthen its leg muscles as quick as possible, because any day there could be a leopard, a lion, a cheetah, even a couple of jackals could come along and try and catch this thing, hyenas. And so they need to be able to run and sprint as quick as possible. So they need to strengthen those leg muscles and their cardiovascular muscles. They need to get their heart pumping so that they can keep up and escape from danger. So at the moment, with their skinny, wobbly legs, they could easily be caught something like a cheetah. Very easily. They just do not have what it takes. But look at that one there, lying down. It stays lying down with brown coat, with its ears down, and the mothers can distract a predator, and the babies might not even get seen. That one's definitely going to get seen. He's going to get eaten first. Oh, no, they're both going off now. Look at them go. See that there? What it was doing there is a bit of a bouncing trot. You see that? That is something that adult wildebeests do to show off how fit and strong they are. So when they do that bouncing run like that, that shows off to a predator to say, I am really strong, even though you're chasing me, I've still got enough energy to bounce up and down like this. And at that point, if a predator was chasing it, it might say, you know what, this is no good, I'm going to leave. This one here trying to get a bit of a drink, but Mum is not ready yet. I am not ready for you to drink. I want to mud bath. This is so entertaining to watch. This one's gone. So fast that it actually disappeared. They must be careful not to tire themselves out. If they run around too much, it can be a bit of a problem because they'll attract danger. Well, whilst we watch these two little things gallivanting around, I'll send you over to Lauren, who's got a water buck.
Now, we stopped at Gowrie Dam, right next to the dam cam, because the water buck was actually in the water. Highly entertaining. I've never seen a water buck actually in the water. Now, the water only went up to his ankles, so he was merely paddling, not exactly swimming, but sadly he's walked back again and came to the shoreline. I don't know why he was in the water. There's two males here. I think the one on the left is much older. Just from this angle, the horns look like they're longer and they curve more. But normally bull water bucks are very territorial. Why were you in the water, sir? Just fancied a little swim. You can see he's chewing the cud immediately. Looks like he's doing a really, really bad job of chewing some chewing gum, but he's chewing the cud. And this is all part of being a ruminant. When you're a ruminant, you regurgitate. Oh my goodness, that is not a pleasant noise. So you have 4 specialized pouches in your stomach. It's still one stomach. Oh. Once again, boys will be boys. kiss me. Sorry, Brad, you're saying the horns are stunning. Yes, they are. Oh, they're having a clash here. Trust it to be right behind the tree. Let's just see. Shall we move forward, Simon? Just a little bit to get a better view. Tell me when we should be able to get them through here. Will that work? Forward. Oh, wait. I think we can get a gap here. All good? Oh, right. Just made it. Behind the rainbow. Again, this is just play. And I think they're going to go behind the vegetation. Oh, can you hear their horns? I'm not sure if you can hear that, but it's very loud. Wow, this is so cool. I think we're going to sit here and enjoy it a little bit longer as we send you guys across to Deirdre and her bird pool party.
That just shows you how hot it is right now. That is a flock of wattled starlings that are coming down to drink, but as fast as they're drinking, they're sort of moving forward, they're splashing, they're wetting themselves, and then flying up to the closest trees, and then starting to sort of preen through their feathers. We've got it's a rather large flock of wattled starlings. So the male and the female in the wattled starling do look different. Literally, that all happened in a space of about 2 minutes, and now almost everyone's finished. They've had their dunk, and they're busy just fixing all their feathers. Maybe, Davy, these ones are in more sunlight, the ones on the left. There's sort of 3 on a branch there. On that nicely out, there we go. So you can just see them sopping wet and just busy grooming and preening. Just have a nice wash. They've just literally just had a dip in the pool, and now they're sort of shaking off. Looks like out of those, it looks like it might be a male in the middle with more wattles, so sort of like extra flappy bits of skin around the beak, sort of above the head and below. The wattles for the male, and then the females not so prominent. But they are quite a noisy group of birds as well. Well, we've come... Oh, there's a little yellow canary amongst the other group of wattled starlings getting involved in the swimming too. He's... Yeah, those ones on that side are having a nice splash. What I'd give to go and join them now. I didn't bring my swimming towel, but that would definitely be a welcome reprieve from this heat. They have, in flocks like this, they'll practice something called allomimetic behavior. Because they're such a large flock, similar to quilias, they're so close enough to each other. As soon as the one reacts, then it's like a chain reaction that goes through the rest of the flock. So even at a waterhole like that, something gave them a fright and they moved off altogether. Or if they move, the front ones decide to move off, they'll all move off. And the same thing with a flock of quellias. If sort of the leaders of the flock sort of bank towards the left, then the rest of the flock follows.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Join our Explorers program so we can keep on sharing nature with the world. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions, have access to an animal identification app, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn connects a global population with nature.
Hello everyone, my name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide and most importantly the questions that you ask give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
So we are still splashing at the pool. You can see a few more of the birds, the males with the sort of more yellow on the head and the wattles. And, oh, I don't know what gave them oh, there comes a blacksmith lapwing. He just went chink chink and they all disappeared. He's like, I don't know if you want to call him the lifeguard or the pool bully or whatever, because he basically just chased them all away. You meanie. Oh, and there's a tortoise coming to drink. Dog, I'm just going to go back a little bit because it's literally in line. It's to the left of where they were. Oh, you got him. Okay, cool. Oh, he's going to walk. Maybe he's also going to chase the wattled starling. So this is the place to be. It is a leopard tortoise. There we go, sorry. He looks like he's in a race. Nice reflection. Sometimes it's the angle at which the approach is to the water, so that's why the tortoise might land up also wanting to drink in exactly the same spot as the wattled starling, because that's just a nice sort of angle into the water. This is going to be good. And leopard tortoise is the only tortoise that is capable of swimming. So I have seen on really hot days they will cross water bodies. It will be nice and cool, and because their skeleton, sort of their skeleton inside their shell is almost closed off, they also have a bit of a flotation device. But they are one of the only tortoises I've ever seen swimming, and in southern Africa we call the ones that do occur in the water terrapins. Yeah, we're just walking past. You can see all the brown-veined whites. It's almost like it is a daily occurrence if you come to any one of the waterholes at this point. Oh, you can just hear it saying, ah. After the heat of today, that's just nice. Maybe we're lucky. Maybe we see a swimming tortoise. a man on a mission, because he's actually covered quite serious ground in the time frame when he came into the picture the first time. Awesome, with all those butterflies. Oh, wait for it. And then you just say, why did he do it? And I say, because he can. He just seems to be on a mission on the edge of the water there. I didn't see him drink, but just clearly has a mission in mind. I see other birds along the edge of the water there. I see blacksmith lapwing. I see some Egyptian goose, or geese, because there's two of them. With the Cape turtle doves calling in the background. I'm going to send you across now back to Kim, who's still with her very alert cheetah. Welcome back. Sounds like you've just had a beautiful view at that watering hole. Now, when last you were with us, we had that female cheetah with the one little cub. We've actually come to a completely different cheetah. Very difficult to tell from where you are. What she's just turned and is looking at is there's a herd of impala on the hill. Now, before you came to us, they were alarm calling, so they are aware of her presence. They have spotted her, but she seems to have regained a little bit of interest in them, just as they stopped alarm calling. I think, this one, if you have a look behind her neck, she doesn't have a lot of fluff there. It shows she's an older cheetah, older than about 2.5. So she is probably wise enough not to try and attempt hunting something that has already sort of identified her as a threat, and to let her know that they are there. Now, I'm not sure exactly what cheetah this is. It's very, very difficult to tell with cheetah sometimes. You've sort of got to wait for them to stand up. The males are bigger. And what did surprise me when we saw her is that it does look like quite a big cheetah to me. So I did actually think it was a male in the beginning. But all our males here in Panda are in coalitions. So I think what cheetah it might be is that cheetah that we had with the 2 cubs that we watched, and we saw the male cub getting killed by that crocodile. That female stayed with her young female cub for quite a while, but they've since separated and then reunited, and then we haven't seen them for a few days since. And this is the first view we have of them, or of her at least. I think it might be the mother of that group. I think for whatever reason she might be separated from her female cub. Her female cub's about 1 year and 2 months, so she is quite young to be independent, far too young that we would like. Normally around 17 or 18 months they become independent. But this is what I'm assuming is happening here. I think this is that female. You can hear those impala alarming again. It's amazing how they actually pick up that she's turned around and is watching them again. Dilian, not very far. The cheetah's call is probably only a matter of 50 meters, if that. I mean, I don't know the exact distance, but it's a very, very soft call, sort of like a bird sound. And while cheetah's hearing is a bit more acute than ours, it's a very soft call such that it's not going to travel very far. So pretty much, as far as you can hear that chirping sound, which is maybe 50, 100 meters with everything in your favor, so they're facing your direction, you're not facing the other way. That's when they'll hear them. I've actually seen the cheetah the other day go and call for her cubs. She went down to drink,
and ran back towards the cubs and started calling from far, maybe 200 meters away already. And only as she approached maybe about 40, 30 meters to the cubs and was still calling the whole time did they actually react and get up and go looking for her. So definitely it's quite a close contact call, you know, much like a lioness. That contact call, it's not made for far distances. They don't have big vocal cords to call for far. You know, they are trying to keep themselves as sort of unobtrusive as possible. And trying not to draw attention to themselves. You can see she's now just laid down on this long grass. Still very alert around her. I cannot even begin to explain the amount of cheetah activity we're suddenly having in this exact area. We're going to sit here and just see if we can watch what her behavior does, if she decides to get up and move again. But we're going to send you to another ranger who's managed to find some small animals of her own.
No, we just had the cub. The cub is there. June is doing the plugging technique that Ribbon used to do, but the cub is there. We're here because we got called back. I'm the Missy lady. And on the radio, Lauren, the dance active. Now everybody's here, but I just want to focus on June just now because the cub keeps popping his little head out. All the other cubs are out, and Ribbon is also here. All the milk bars are open. No, little cubby, come on. There we go. It's just so sweet. Isn't that just adorable? Congratulations, June Mama. Oh, we're gonna see it maybe come out. It's a little bit skittish. Maybe skittish is not the right word. I think possibly unsure is the right word. It's a little bit unsure of the outside world. Isn't that so lovely? June looks like she's been slightly rough with the old grooming there. Looks very rough, doesn't it? Are you happy now? Your baba's clean. Well, I don't know if clean is the right word. I do often feel that when there are two cubs, so when both sort of cubs in the litter survive, they're more confident I think that's probably natural with any youngster. And Gwazi and Shambulu were very confident. I think it could be put down to, well, Ribbon's attitude, but also the fact that I really believe, oh, that must smell wonderful. Kisses for June. No, putting your genitalia on her face, I don't think she wants that. But yes, also due to the fact that our vehicle was there, I believe, from day 1 or 2. So habituation started earlier. And also because there are 2, I really think it just makes the youngsters a little bit more confident. It gives them the sort of encouragement to explore more, be a little bit naughtier, a little bit more adventurous. This one's on its own. It will get adventurous, do not worry. But for now, it's testing the waters. Dizzy, yes, absolutely. And that's exactly how we knew June had a cub. We saw her a while ago and I was convinced she was pregnant or lactating. And she was spotted on the dam cam, believe it or not. I honestly believe if she wasn't spotted on the dam cam, we would maybe not be aware that June had a cub and she was carrying it in her mouth. Look at that, June, exhaustion of being a mother. You look like a seal. But yes, they carry them in their mouth, very gently so. Just like you see leopards do and lions do. Oh, don't move, June. Everybody's still here, don't worry, so we don't have to necessarily leave. But it's not the best visuals. Let's just wait and see if she comes back and to see if the cub pops his head out one more time. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but there's actually blue sky in front of us. The weather is somersaulting all around us today. That's interesting. June's right next to Ribbon. Very relaxed around one another. I know it's not the best views, but it's a very nice interaction. I'm not going to turn on the engine just yet because the cub's in the hole, in the entrance. Lisa's learned behavior is also, as I mentioned, sort of fear. I shouldn't be saying that. The cub does not know anything past the entrance. It's not learned that yet. It's not familiar yet. And just as we watched with Ribbon's boys, slowly but surely it will become a little bit braver and it'll start to test the waters. And every time it tests the waters and Mom allows it, then it knows that it's okay. It will also learn from the other cubs very, very quickly. It will respond to whatever the other 5 are doing. If they hear a noise, and all the other 5 run back in the den, then of course the other one will learn to run back in the den. So it's learning from observation, also instinct, the safety of the den, the warmth of the den, and mother will play a big factor in that too, because normally at this stage, June or any mother calls the cub out with vocalizations. So it comes out upon Mum's instructions. Slowly but surely we'll start to learn, I can actually come out when Mom's not here, which is very naughty, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we've watched Corky, we've watched Ribbon, we've watched June, all put their head in the entrance and call the cub out. So I'm, of course, not going to go anywhere for now. I've been called here and I'm going to stay here, but we're going to send you guys down to DEIRDRE.
I have been promising everyone over the last at least 2 drives that I would show you the euphorbias up in the mountains at Tswalu. So these are the Euphorbia avis montana. In Tswalu we've got 8 euphorbia species. So this is their typical habitat, is on the side of the mountain, and even more on the what we would call the western slope of the mountain, so it gets sort of the eastern morning sun. But really, really pretty. The question this morning was, what do we have that looks like, do we have cacti in South Africa? And the answer was no, but this is what people often assume or refer to, something that looks cactus-like. But it's not in the cactus family, it's in the euphorbia family. It's got 2 names. It's called slender candelabra euphorbia, or in Afrikaans, a bushman gif. A bushman would be a bushman, gif being poison, so bushman's poison. And there is inside those leaves, sort of branches, is a white milky latex, which would be very toxic to us if you happen to get that on your skin. That one will cause sort of an immediate blister and irritation, and even sort of burning. And there are other species of euphorbia that even if you get that latex in your eye, you can have sort of potential temporary blindness or even permanent damage. So definitely not something to mess with. But if they're calling it bushman gif in Afrikaans, this would also probably be something that they would put on their arrows that would help them when they are hunting prey. And this type of toxin, I think, once it hits the animal, it actually starts affecting the heart and causes the heart to shut down, if I'm not mistaken. But there are some that have been flowering, and the wasps have been really, really busy around these euphorbias. So it's just a nice example here at Tswalu. They don't get much bigger than what we're seeing in the picture. We also were talking earlier today, you actually look at that shape. In a very hot, arid environment, it makes sense to make the branches go upright, because at the concentrated heat of the day, between sort of 12 and 2, when you're sitting at your highest temperatures and the sun is at its highest point in the sky, you've got the least amount of the plant's surface area exposed to the sun, so doesn't want to lose too much moisture. And then on the edges of those branches, lots and lots of little thorns, and also beautiful sort of yellow flower. They call it a cyathea, is the type of flower that you get on a euphorbia. Unfortunately, there isn't a picture in the book of that euphorbia's flower. Oh, this one's probably quite nice, Darby. I'll put it down here. You can see this isn't the flower of this particular species, but it just shows you how intricate this one, yeah. It's also euphorbia. So this is another one that we get here called a geel melkbos, a yellow milk bush. If you broke the stem on this, you'd also get that white latex. But just cyathea, the type of flower in the euphorbia, so very, very pretty. I'll come back to the one that we were on, and then Darby can show us. We can have a look at the thorns. We were looking at them this morning, and then also down at the bottom, the fruit. Once it's finished flowering and it goes to a fruit, it also has a trilocular ovary or seed, and when it gets to a certain point, the seeds actually pop when they get hot enough, when they're dry enough, and you're close enough to the tree, you can actually hear. You actually see the seeds, or you don't see them, but you hear the seeds actually popping out of those little ovaries. So very, very interesting.
The stick is fantastic. They are just loving the sticks. My little vegetarian hyenas. Now, I don't think we'll get another glimpse of the cub. June has firmly gone to sleep again. In the piddle puddle, that's where all the hyenas do their piddles, in this little puddle that she's lying in, but luckily it's dry today. It seems to be some sort of urine bed that they all adore. Gwazi and Shimbulu are here, they're just sleeping. Hello, Princess. Corky's daughter is such a little princess. She's got those boys wrapped around her paw. You know, it's nice to spend time with June again. June was one, for a while, we really didn't see her much. And she's here, Ribbon's here. She's relaxed, and that's the essence of being part of a clan. Yes, there's a hierarchy, and they must stick to the hierarchy. June must respect those above her. But at the end of the day, it's a happy clan, and they all need each other. The low rankers, even although they're low ranked, are still important. Everybody has their place in a Juma clan. Ah, what a lovely time to be part of the busy Juma den.
So I'm so excited because FC says you've all got some questions for us about these beautiful euphorbia trees. So we've stood by waiting to hear what your questions are at Wild Earth, #WildEarth at FC. It is only certain slopes within Tswalu have these euphorbias. They're not everywhere. Laura Moore's asking the question, how do animals know what not to eat? That's a very good question. So although I say these ones are toxic, the black rhino, kudu, and even porcupine eat this euphorbia. So sometimes it's what they get taught by their parents, if you want to put it that way, if they're in that situation where they have got parental care, and other times the plants have chemical defenses that sometimes they taste so bitter or they burn a little bit, and then the animal will learn that that's not necessarily the most palatable for them. So sometimes animals learn by just trial and error. Sometimes, like a troop of baboons, for example, they'll actually learn what they often find a new plant source to eat as a result of a youngster eating it, and then nothing happens to it, and then he keeps finding it because he knows that it tastes good for him, and then that's how sometimes then the adults will then start eating what the youngster's eaten. So they do say in a survival situation, if you wanted to try and survive out in this environment and you could find a troop of baboons to follow, in order to find food. If you were in a desperate situation and you needed to find food, you could follow them a little bit and see what they eat. But the trick with that is not to just eat because they eat. It's almost to put a little bit on your tongue and you wait a bit and you see what's that reaction. Sometimes you chew a little bit, see what that reaction is, and then don't consume too much because a human system is not necessarily used to the processing of those sort of plants and toxic things like animals. And just the classic case for me is like the sour plum. Everybody always says anything with the latex, you don't touch it, but fig trees have a clear milky latex or clear latex, and then even the sour plum has like a white latex, but you can eat a sour plum. So very, very tart taste. It just sort of takes your taste buds a minute or two to figure that out, though. It's not the most pleasant. But that would be how animals would figure it out, either by trial and error or being taught by others within their group. Just such a beautiful scene. A couple more clouds in the sky since we started, so Andrea's asking, can they be used for medicinal purposes? I don't think so because of the toxicity of the euphorbias. They not typically chosen as a sort of a medicinal use, but I do know that the only thing to do with medicine with the euphorbias that I know of is that and I did say the other day, I can't really remember dates very well, but the king of Mauritania, his doctor was Dr. Euphorbius, and he used to use a lot of plants in some of his treatment for healing. I don't think that the euphorbia was one of those plants that he would use, but the genus actually got named after him, the Euphorbia genus, after the king of Mauritania's doctor. Oh, there's a nice little white-browed sparrow weaver on top of this boskia. Maybe he sits long enough to actually get into the picture. Stay. We've been looking at the nest. We looked at the nest earlier today, which we said they like to be on the leeward side of the trees, those messy little grass nests. I love these little birds. They're cheeky little birds. They've got serious attitude, generally in groups, and often very chirpy first thing in the morning. I've got a group near my accommodation, and if my water bath is empty, they come sit on the fence and they start shouting at me to fill the water bath. We're going to send you across to Andrew for a moment of silence. From one cheetah to the other. Can you believe it? This is our third cheetah sighting of the afternoon. We started with that mother with that tiny little cub, and then we found that female up on the hill, and probably about 500, 600 meters away from that female, we've got these two males right here. And you can see the difference in behavior is quite apparent. If you watch as we're washing, both of their heads are flat down. They are completely fast asleep, and it just shows you how confident they feel, having each other, just another fully grown cheetah that will help them defend themselves and keep an eye out for predators. Jason, you can join as a third. It's amazing the difference in behavior. As I've been sitting here, I haven't even seen their heads pick up once. You just see that little flick of the ear
anything else. Let's just remember to look out. You can get a good look at this cheetah's face. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of scarring. In fact, one of the ears has been bitten off on the side. See those prominent scars along the left-hand side. Now that shows the age of these cheetah. They're a little bit older. They're about 7 years old. And one of the ways that we do that's very effective in aging, especially cats, look at that. Look at all those scars across the nose. Is especially ear condition and scarring on the face, and especially with male cheetah. Because as they become dominant, they're going to start mating with females, and the females aren't very receptive to it a lot of the time, and they'll end up swatting at them and producing those scars on their face. So he's obviously done quite a bit of mating in his time. And what's really interesting between these two males is that they're not actually brothers. Now, most of the time when you find a coalition of males out in the wild, they will be brothers, because when they're born into the same litter, those brothers will have a strong bond, and when they go into the wild, then they keep that bond and they remain together. The largest coalition I think I've ever heard of males is in Kenya, a coalition of 5 males, and all brothers that actually managed to survive to adulthood, which is quite unbelievable. But they can accept nomadic males, so males that they found out in the wild. It's very, very rare because they have to sort of remain very submissive and approach each other gently. There has been cases where it's occurred, but it's not very common. But what's happened with these males, and it's a method that we're doing now in conservation, is we're forcibly bonding males that do not have a coalition. And it's males that have either lost their brother or weren't born into a litter with other males, so perhaps other females or their brothers didn't make it to adulthood. And the reason we do this is that there's just a higher success rate of cheetah once they're forcibly bonded. So you'll take 2 cheetah and you'll put them in a boma area, and you'll let them, those bonds be grown over time. At first they're quite aggressive towards each other, but eventually they learn to live and adapt together. And then once you release them, you have a bonded pair like this. And it's because it's in their own interest to actually bond like that. You know, chances of survival are much higher. If one gets injured, the other one can still hunt. There's more eyes and ears looking out for them. And it's just a better chance of survival. So it's much, much more bonded pair. And as you can see already, the proof is in the pudding with them sort of making it to this stage. So we're going to sit with them maybe for a little bit more and see if there's anything that they get up to. And we're going to send you to another live location.
So much action over here. I'm going to need Simon to zoom in. No, I can't really see who's who. But June has left, sadly. But Ribbons seems to be... Ribbons in charge of the nursery, from what I can see. All of them. Ribbons daycare. Oh, that's an eye roll if I've ever seen one. She's not letting them aloe suckle. She's just... She also doesn't care that they're having a little sniff and a little lick and a little play. They're all very tender towards the cubs. They might snarl occasionally if the cub's been naughty or doing something it shouldn't, but as the matriarch, she really doesn't have to let Heart's cubs and Corky's daughter have a sniff or a lick or jump on top of her, and yet she does. Ribbon's wonderful that way. She's really, really tender towards all the cubs. And of course, they're all attracted to the smell of milk, naturally. Corky's daughter just looks like a hyena now. It's unbelievable how much she's grown. And you can see that Heart's pair are obviously older than her, for sure. Although she is the lowest ranker's child, or who we believe to be the lowest ranker, I think the difference in size and coloration does show that they're a little bit older than her. Oh, kisses for Ribbon. Both cubs are licking her. She's being pampered. Bruce, I'm not entirely sure. I would imagine it sort of helps keep them hidden. Even if you look at lions, they've got lots of little spots that they grow out of. If you look at leopards, they're just little fuzzy wuzzies. It's not really possible to even pick out a spot pattern. So I think it's just because they stay hidden in dark dens for so long that it probably just keeps them camouflage. And then, of course, once they get much older, they start to lighten and the spot pattern becomes really, really prominent. That's normally around the 3-month mark, give or take. You can really see their spot pattern. They'll be fluffy for quite a while. They'll be fluffy for up to 1.5 years, 2 years. And then they'll start, their hair will shorten and they'll start to look like hyenas. But I would imagine because they're stashed away in dens, they're just dark in colour for that reason. Ribbon does not have a care in the world. Look at Corky's daughter. What are you doing? My goodness, I told you she was a princess. Look at this. Shanti, you're asking would Ribbon's boys help the other cubs if they were in danger? I think at this stage they would all flee. They would all run into the den if there was any threat present. They're young. They know the den is safety. If the cub was maybe stuck or caught in a branch or something like that, they would come along to investigate what's going on and would maybe try to help. But if there was a threat present, they would all run into the den immediately and seek safety. When I first joined, Ribbon had a cub called Peddy. Very sweet little cub, which happened to be the lowest ranker at the time because Ribbon was the lowest ranker. So sweet. We used to come and find them together all the time. And Ribbon lost Peddy. I think she just enjoys being around the cubs. Oh wait, Shimbulu's missing. Sorry, I wrongly assumed both Ribbon's boys were there, but they're not. I think that's Ngwazi, which means Shimbulu's not here. He must be having a long lie inside the den. Look at Corky's daughter, she's so fierce. She's so full of character. She's not doing anything intimate here. It's just dominance and wrestling and playing. Oh, this is so fabulous. I can't leave yet. I'm going to stay here longer. But I believe Deirdre has found a snake.
Darby and I just drove past this massive sociable weaver's nest, and they were chittering, they were agitated, and I thought, you know what, let's just check if there's a cobra in this nest, and there it is. It's literally sticking its head out of one of the holes. You can hear them panicking. So a Cape cobra. I'm so excited. It's the first one I've seen in a sociable weaver's nest. I mean, I've heard about it, I've seen lots of pictures, but look at that. It literally just looks like a stick sticking out the nest. And there's lots of chicks in these nests at the moment. So there's lots of tasty snacks for that cobra. And the most amazing thing with the cobra is that it's climbed the tree. It's got onto the nest. It's managed to sort of go out on a branch, come in and up from underneath, get in a hole, and then it uses its body to make like a U-bend into one of the nests to just hold it and anchor it in. It's just disappeared. It's gone. Just like that. Well, you all saw it. We saw it. We were so lucky. It's just perfect timing. Nice. Probably not perfect timing for the birds. They don't, they never like the presence of a predator. They do. And it's amazing how their little sort of chirping and chittering changes. I mean, sociable weavers are constantly vocal. They're always talking, but they do change sort of the way that they sound when there's a predator in the nest. Maybe even just sit and wait and see what flies into the hole, but he hasn't come out yet. Maybe he's getting ready to move. Who knows? But wasn't that just amazing? I'll just keep looking around, see maybe I can see another one. So the Cape Cobra is here, vary in color so much. That was a speckled sort of version. You get a lighter color and then you get a really yellow color. And they're all the same species. No one really knows why there's so much color variation, but even if you go further down in the Cape, all the way to the Western Cape, you even get another variety. I've seen, we had a sort of a snake talk recently, and we saw 6 different color variations of the Cape Cobra. So there's one of probably the panicked parents, the little sociable weaver. Beautiful little scaly feathers on the side. So they're definitely... No, the snake hasn't come out yet. But they do nest in abundance. There is lots of them. So Leslie's question is, how does the snake go into the nest? So it'll make its way up the tree, and they've got surprisingly good grip for a snake that's quite smooth. They can just use any one of those grooves on the trunk of this camel thorn, and then they'll go across the branches, sort of across the nest most, I would say, probably to the branches out on the right-hand side where that little bird was sitting, and then sort of anchor itself using its strong muscles to hold itself in, and then take its head up and under into one of the nest chambers, and then it will search in there. And if it wants to turn around or move, it does it almost like on a children's playground. You have like monkey bars. It sends one of its, it sends part of its body into one of the holes and makes a loop, like a U-bend, and anchors that into one of the holes while it moves its head in searching into any one of the other holes for the possibility to grab chicks. So they eat either chicks, eggs, adults. The Cape Cobras are not fussy. It is a good food source, and you'll find that Cape Cobra probably regularly preys on chicks in this nest. It will be within its sort of home range area, and it'll know that. So it's probably a regular resident in this area and often coming here for takeaways. Beautiful blue sky in the background there. Wow. It's so nice to see reptiles. Sometimes they're just so fast moving. If a Cape Cobra's on the ground and they're moving quickly at speed, it's just amazing. To the touch, we're very fortunate that we've got a researcher here. His name's Tilo. He does, I think he's been on Safari Live, if I'm not mistaken, with Dylan. He's still doing research on all the Cape Cobras, and when he has a Cape Cobra to see, if you just sort of touch it, it's so soft to the touch. They just sort of sail across the desert sand. It's just amazing to see them move, and you actually sometimes catch them in the winter mornings. Once it's started to heat up a little bit, you actually see the sun shining on that nice yellow color, and that's how you can see or find a Cape Cobra for yourself. Oh, is that the... Penelope, that's a good question. Would the weavers ever be able to chase the snake away? In this situation, they generally sort of just, they try and work around it. They're not, although they've got the numbers, it's quite difficult for them once the snake's already decided to get into a nest chamber. So sometimes there is the sacrifice of one or two youngsters, and the greater good of the rest of the nest still carries on. But some other birds, if there's enough of them, they can sort of mob and pester the snake. But they're just talking to let everybody know that there's a snake in the nest. But it seems like they're so small, it's very little that they can actually do about it. It's just a busy afternoon. Phew, that one that flew in now, I thought that was quite close. I thought, oh, don't land in the wrong hole, because there's a snake waiting in that hole for you. You might find even that snake, if he's eaten well and he's nice and comfortable in the nest chamber, why should he move? He doesn't need to move at all. He can just stay there until he's ready to eat again, and then, like he did, he was sort of hanging out. He can pop his head out and see where he goes next. Yeah, I don't think he's going to come out again. I think what we saw of the snake is what we're going to see of that snake.
Quickly. Well, the past shipwreck.
I can't believe this. An elephant just came and chased him all the way. Even Ribbon got up and ran. She's round here. Excuse the rain, roof. It's very tricky to get a view of everything. This bull just came and literally chased everyone. The cubs are all hiding behind the den. Oh, actually, it's possible they went in the back entrance. The back entrance. Oh, Ribbon, that woke you up out of your slumber, didn't it? She's coming round, Be careful, Ribs. He's not going to be happy to see you. I love how Ribbon's just assessing the scene. She's not going to leave. She's making sure everything's okay. Oh, where did you come from? There's a big elephant there. Yes, I see you. I'm not a hyena. There's another hyena here the whole time. It's Tima. She was hiding in the thicket the entire time. I can't believe this. This is the second time I've had an encounter here like this. just don't really know what to do. You just got to be careful for displacement anger. There's another hyena. There's two the entire time. In the belly. In the belly, and it's okay. I don't think you're going to get them, Simon. Don't worry. In the belly and Tima were here the entire time. The elephant literally just chased them. They've gone behind the car, though. Ribbon's gone back to being Ribbon. She's not bothered. She knows the elephants won't really harm them. They'll have to run out of the elephant's way. But they also know that the elephant's not going to really harm them so much. There we go, look. I think it's Tima. Lots of excitement. The elephant's alert. Let's just take a look at the elephant if we can. Right in front of us. Can hear them. Look, Corky's daughter, where are you going? You're not big enough to challenge an elephant, dear. My goodness, she's stressing me out. Oh, sorry. It was Swazi, sorry, not Ndebele, Swazi. Here he is. Swazi and Ribbon together. Performing a greeting ceremony. Sorry, Gwen, you'll have to repeat that question you asked just as the elephant trumpeted and gave me a mini heart attack. It's coming back, it's coming back. It's coming, it's chasing them. Tensions are running so high. Peter, I think I did just answer your question, but no, the elephant won't hurt them. But he's not happy. He wants them gone. Elephants do not like predators. But he won't hurt. He chase them, absolutely chase them, but not hurt them. And they know that. Swazi's happy. He's got his friends. Lovely greeting ceremony. Oh, to be a hyena. It's a really important part of hyena society. Sniffing one another's you-know-whats. It shows trust. Also provides them with a lot of information to learn. And oh, the elephant's coming back round. You notice how Ribbon's not leaving? She's just making sure. She could have easily have ran, but she's not. Look at Corky's daughter. You are something else, madam. It's behind you. This is so typical Swazi. Look at that. Swazi the brave. I don't know where Swazi got all his courage from. Christine, you're saying this elephant's been a bit of a bully. Yes, I know, it's not happy. Elephant, I think if you just leave the den... Oh. Swazi's taunting it. They're working the elephant up. But yes, Christine, I agree. This elephant's causing havoc. I'm glad I stayed and didn't leave. Sometimes I think Swazi has identity issues. He has no qualms about walking up to my room. No qualms about coming to our kitchen and staring at us all as if to say, why are you guys here? And I'm going to the kitchen. He joins us at the dinner table. He is not fazed by this elephant. Even when we darted him to get the wire off, nothing fazed him. Wow. Simon's face. I was tense. Everybody's... The elephant's now feeding. I can't see any hyenas. Morgan, you're asking, does the elephant stay there even if there's predators? I think I got that question right. Well, yes, he's staying. He's being very... Why? Yes, the comms broke out there. Why? Morgan, I think this elephant has been stubborn. To be perfectly honest with you and using human terminology. Oh, Intima incoming. We need to get a good look at those mammary glands. I think she's just been stubborn. This is the path this elephant wanted to take. It came here to feed and is horrified to find there's hyena here. Maybe it's not fully aware that this is a den. The hyenas are not going to leave, and he's just trying to chase them off and stand his ground and show that he's big and strong. Elephants like to show you that they're big. I don't think they fully understood the concept that they are huge. They're the biggest... Look at that, they all come out to Intima's call. Swazi comes running. Corky's daughter puts her head up. Isn't that amazing? Amazing. See, yes, Morgan and answer. I think all the cubs were a little perplexed. What on earth happened? I cannot believe how quickly they responded to Ntima like that. That was so lovely. Now, Ntima, show us your nipples, please. The elephant's still there, by the way. Oh, there he goes, coming out. Look at the dominance. You see the dominance? Look at the cubs with their tails up. That's Heart's cubs again trying to dominate Swazi. There's so much genitalia in the face here, I don't even know where to look, but Heart's cubs, they do this a lot. We've watched them do this to Corky. Just watched them do it to Swazi, and the elephant's still in the background. He's coming, he's coming. Elephant's very close to the car. We just need to be very careful here of displacement, aggression. Mary, you're asking why they don't get attacked. Why the hyenas don't attack the elephants, sorry. Well, they can. The hyenas could chase the elephant, but really it's so much bigger and stronger than all of them. One kick from an elephant, one wrong maneuver, and you're in big trouble. They would love to eat an elephant, absolutely, but they couldn't. They could chase it, they could bite its ankles, but the elephant would always win in this scenario. I see you too, I see you too, I know you're not happy. It's a young bull. Potentially, yes. Potentially, if he climbed on top of it, it could collapse. Don't know how stable this den is. It's an old termite mound. It's no longer used by termites. It was probably an aardvark burrow until the hyenas came along. So yes, he could, but I think it is quite strong and sturdy. Swazi, no, don't run to me. This is happening right in front of the car, everyone. It's okay, boy. I know. Those nasty hyenas. I know. But yes, I think the mound is sturdy enough, to be perfectly honest. I'm just not sure about the entrance. If he was to stand on the entrance, that weight could maybe cause some internal collapse. But I mean, we can climb on that mound no problem, and it holds our weight. This elephant is just determined not to leave. If there was an elephant on the ground, the hyenas absolutely would go for it. Where did that come from? Inside? Swazi's back. He is determined. Swazi, you can't fit in there. You're too big. He wants all the cubs to come out to play. He's calling everybody. He wants them all to come out. And I'm sure you can hear the elephant feeding. It's completely feeding. Not fake feeding or... It's completely just eating the grass around the den. It's determined not to leave. We have two very stubborn boys around us. Young boys. You won't really find gentlemen, older elephants do this. It's normally the younger bulls that always have to prove themselves. Don't you know I'm bigger than you? Yes, we all know that. Wow, that was some... I can breathe now. I'm sure you all heard that exhale. I think I've been holding that in the entire time. Swazi's walked off. I saw Ribbon walk off. Don't think the cubs will come back out for now. Whew. So everybody is fine, do not worry, and hopefully Mr. Elephant here is going to move on to greener pastures.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the number one aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. An ever-increasing part of the global population is losing its connection with nature. Wild Earth is here to reduce people's stress and anxiety, allowing you to escape into nature even just for a few hours a day. However, Wild Earth is expensive to run, and we need help from you to keep this ship going. Wild Earth Explorers gives you the opportunity to be part of a program that supports the sharing of nature with the world.
My name is James Hendry, and I work here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands on the western fringes of the Greater Kruger National Park. My favorite part of getting questions from viewers is that we get to have long and varied discussions about all sorts of different aspects of nature. Because our audience comes from all over the world, it's very special to have different perspectives from everywhere. If you want to submit a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to the Live Safari page and submit your question beneath the live feed.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle, and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
We left. We had to leave. We had no choice. All the adults disappeared. Cubs were gone. We had to leave the den, I'm afraid. Even although the elephant was still there, we don't stay at the den when there's no one there. Whew. My heart is still racing. I'm not actually sure where I want to go next. Where do I want to go? This way, I think. Sometimes it's worth it. We had and at least we can stay put. And that happened. It's always fascinating seeing sort of interactions between species, interspecific interactions. Now, they're not competitors. It's not interspecific competition. They're not competing for anything. You've got a ginormous pachyderm that's a herbivore, and then you've got a much smaller carnivore. Now, if there was a dead elephant on the ground, of course the hyenas would eat it, but other than that, they're not competitors, so it was just an interspecific interaction, and it's good for the cubs. The cubs can learn. Swazi was there, and Tima was actually there, Ribbon was there, and they can learn how the adults are reacting to the elephants, and therefore they will understand how they should respond to the elephants. And this is how they learn. Learned behavior, observation. I think, oh my goodness, there's elephants at the dam, but I do believe Andrew is already here, so we shall send you to him.
get up so the of the pride. To reposition again. And then once we get into a nice position, it might be we might be able to see if we can find them and see if they might be heading towards a waterhole to drink. So I'm just going to reposition the vehicle. I will go off-road here. So we don't have too far to drive, and then we should get to that pan system shortly.
So welcome back. We left those two male cheetah and came back to this female. There's been quite a lot of activity in this area. There was some Nyala alarm calling, which made us come and investigate what we could find. And as you can see, look at how this cheetah has her behavior. Her head's up, her ears are spread wide. She's very alert because she knows those Nyala weren't alarm calling for her. There's some other vehicles that have found a leopard just to the south of us. It does seem to be going away from her, so she seems to have dodged some potential danger for the meantime. She certainly didn't see the leopard, but she is aware that there is potentially something in the area, as you can see by her incredibly alert behavior. Luckily, she's positioned herself exactly how she needs to be. She's in a bit of an open area, very alert, even on a little bit of a mound. And she's scanning around now. Her benefit is, even though it's thick behind her, she's got the breeze blowing straight towards her from behind. And so anything that will approach from that side, she'll smell. So this way she's got a 360-degree awareness. Amazing how intuitive these animals are and how instinctually they know exactly what's going on. Olivia, that is a good question, and I find it very, very tough between cheetahs. As you can see, it's not like leopards where they've got different patterns on their face, because there's very few spot patterns that you can have a look for. One of the distinctive features of this cheetah is that she doesn't have a white tip on her tail. If you have a look at that tail, there's a little bit of white on the edge, but you mainly see a bit of black. Now, cheetahs generally have that white tip, because it's one of their follow me signs. So as their cubs walk through the grass, then they can lock onto to follow them. And you can see this one's missing that white tip, and it's from an injury sustained when she was actually fleeing from a leopard. A little while ago, one of the rangers managed to witness the leopard biting off that tip of her tail. So that's a distinguishing feature of this female. The other is just knowing the dynamics and the areas that they were in, and also the setup of their group. So all our females, except for one, has actually got cubs at the moment. So this female's the one that had a older cub. I'm sure you remember that very tragic video of the female that had two cubs that are about 1 year and 2 months, and they've lost the male cub, and she since seems to have separated from the female. It could be that she's driven now. Maybe she's gone into estrus and she's trying to find a mate. Perhaps something separated them, like a predator, and they've separated for a little bit in the meantime and might be trying to find each other. But that's, you sort of piece together the piece of the puzzle and just try and figure out what female cheetah you would see in this area that would be alone. Just very clearly aware that something's going on. Henry, my last count we had about 15. We've got 2 coalitions of 2 males in the south of the reserve, so that's a total of 4. Then we've got this female with her cub, which is 6. We've got another 2 females that have 2 cubs, so that's up to 12, and then that female with the 1 cub, which is 14. And then I think we've got 2 males in the north, so that's up to 16. We've got 16 cheetah at the moment. And we're hoping that the population's going to grow. Now, our greatest threat to them is bush encroachment and then an increasing number of predators. I'm just listening to our radio. It does seem like they found another leopard in this area, which is quite unbelievable. The amount of activity just in a radius of about 1 kilometer is crazy. We've got those 2 male cheetah not far from here. We've got this female. We've got now 2 leopards that are walking around. So it's one of those very trying times for these cheetah this evening to actually become really aware. And you're going to see, luckily, all 3 cheetah in the area are older cheetah, very experienced at dealing with these kind of situations. But it does give you an idea of when we go to sleep at night, how often these animals must actually interact and how close they often come to one another. What is really promising is the exact behavior of this cheetah. Like I said before, she's positioned herself perfectly, and you can just read her behavior. She's very aware, despite the fact she hasn't seen a single one of these leopards. She's aware based on all the clues she's put together. I even think the fact that the vehicles are off-roading might alert her. I often wonder if sometimes animals understand that we often only off-road for one of the predators, and that alerts them to the fact that there might be something around. You can see, just hear the distance, that sound in the distance of those vehicles following that leopard. So we're going to sit and watch this female, just take in her behavior for a little bit longer. We're going to send you to DJ in the meantime.
One time's phone just went. That is just too cute.
Welcome back. Sorry about that. They seem to have had a little bit of technical difficulties. As you can imagine, being out in the African wild has its own set of challenges, and sometimes we do have little signal issues. We're still sitting with this cheetah, and you can see that she's incredibly alert. She's still looking around. It's starting to get a bit more dangerous for her as it becomes darker. The sun's setting around her, and it's becoming the time where predators are more active, just as we've been talking about. A lot of leopard activity in the area. Certainly I don't think she's going to move from this spot because she's got a nice open area around her and she can keep a lookout. Nicole, in terms of aging cheetah, it's not always the easiest thing. So one thing that we can have a look at is behind the neck of cheetah. If you remember those cubs we were looking at earlier, they've got quite long hair, And that fades at about 2.5. I mean, the hair will get shorter as they grow up, but the last remaining long hairs are behind a cheetah's neck. And that, at about 2.5, that's completely gone, and they've got the short hair that you can see now. So she's at least older than 2.5. Then what we do is we look at ear condition and scarring on the face. So this female, you can see her ears are actually in pretty good condition. She doesn't have too many scars. In fact, just her general body condition is quite... She does seem to be sort of in her prime. Completely in her prime. So this female, she's had 2 litters of cubs already. And so she's I think about 6.5. And they live to about 11 or 14. So pretty much in her prime years. And in the next few years, we might see a little bit of deterioration in the ears and a little bit more scarring. And that's sort of how you start to look at them. So lovely. As the sun starts to set, it's amazing when you hear all the sounds of the bush start to creep in. There's a lot of insects calling, a lot of birds calling. You can hear the cicadas in the distance there. Classic evening sound. Tato, we have actually had cases where cheetah chased a leopard off the kill, but it was a coalition of 2 males, and it's very, very rare. Generally, if you have a look, they're very slender animals, and they don't have a lot in the way of defense. They've got tiny teeth because their heads are very small and built mainly to bring in air, so large nasal cavities. Their claws aren't sharp, so that they've continually got traction when they run. Shame, she is very nervous. You can see I think she's going up this hill to get a bit of a vantage point. We're going to follow for a bit, but it does get quite rocky. So as soon as it gets rocky, we're going to stop following her. Look at there she is in front of us. I think she's decided to go to the very top of that hill. So we're going to try and keep up with her for a little bit, but in the meantime, we're going to send you to Lauren, who's looking at one of the smaller animals we don't get that much time to spend time with.
I am having the best drive. Look what I found. Yes, termites. Not just any term. Oh, they've got something. What are they doing? That's not a termite, the big animal. You see these soldiers, look at them. They look bizarre and they look creepy and crawly, but they're actually not. Are we able to get any closer to these ones down here, Simon, or is that not possible? We're obviously in IR. Something has just happened to our IR light. Bear with us because this is an incredibly exciting sighting. Not okay. There we go. Okay, so the ones down the bottom, you can see that really fat, bulbous head. Those are the soldiers that I was talking about this morning. And they've got those huge black mandibles. Can you see them? Now, the soldiers are the defenders of the colony. They're the ones that do all the work to protect the entire colony. They can't actually eat because their mandibles are sort of just equipped to defend. So they're fed by the workers. And if you look on the left-hand side, you can see the workers. Now, they have much more normal-sized heads, and they really don't look so bizarre, to be honest. But the soldiers only make up between 1% and 3% of a termite colony. There's not that many of them, and their sole task is just to defend. They're wingless, They're blind and they lack pigment. So of course we can't see that right now, but they appear really, really white. I don't know, there's another insect in there, but of course termites don't eat other insects. They're not carnivorous, so I'm not sure what that giant insect in the middle is doing. Now the soldiers are soft, their bodies are soft, but their head parts, that huge bulbous head, is hard with those mandibles. They can also secrete toxins from their heads that warn off any invaders. Stay away, this is our colony, do not come any closer. Incredible. Whereas the workers, they make up anywhere between 90 to 95% of the colony. So let's just say 95% of the colony's workers, 3% soldiers, and 1 or 2% is the reproductive ones. Now the workers are completely sexless. They're neither male or female, they're sterile. They're also blind, they're also wingless. Sex is irrelevant, they don't reproduce. Doesn't matter if they're male or female, it's completely irrelevant. No energy will be wasted in producing genitalia and sex organs if they don't reproduce. Sky, you're saying this is fascinating. It's amazing. I've been looking for termites every single day and here they are. Must have been enough moisture and warmth now. And I know some people will find this a bit too creepy. But really, it's really amazing to see this. The workers and the soldiers together, you can see the size difference. And the sole sort of job of the workers is to care for the colony. Care for the eggs, transport the eggs. Care for the reproductives. Care for the soldiers. Care for your king and your queen. You're the homekeepers, you're the providers. You feed, you maintain the mound. You do all sorts of tasks for the colony. You clean. It's really important, and that's why there's so many workers. I'm just trying to figure out what those large insects in the middle are. The ones with the wings. I don't think they're alates. I don't quite know what they're doing. Alates are the reproductives. They are the ones with wings. They're the ones that'll fly. Maybe just a mere few inches or meters or maybe more and start their own colony. They wait for rain. Termites relish the rain. They wait for summer. This is what they need. And why do they need it? It's their chance for the alates to fly. It's the chance for new colonies to be made. And why do they wait for the rain? Well, because after their flight, and I use the word flight very loosely, they rely heavily on the wind. They must seek shelter in the ground. And when the ground is hard and dry, it's impossible for them to get into the ground. So the alates, the reproductives, the future, they need moisture, they need the rain. I cannot believe we found this. This is incredible. I hope we can get a sighting like this in daytime, because obviously we're using infrared. Andrea, you have no idea. Termites are absolutely packed with nutrition. They are a source of food for so many animals. Birds of prey, you'll see birds of prey on the ground just eating up all the sort of fat-rich bodies. They're very rich in fat and they're packed with moisture. Aardvarks, pangolin, aardwolves, leopards, hyenas, reptiles, amphibians, everything except fish. for the obvious reason, will not eat termites. Everything else will feed on them, and that is because they are so nutritious. They're a really succulent snack. And that's another reason that they stick together in the colony, because they have so many enemies. Everything will eat them, literally everything. In the book that I'm reading, I mentioned it the other day, Eugene Murray's Afrikaans man, I believe. He wrote The Soul of the White Ant, and it's a book about the termite. And he actually described a termite mound, the termitory, as a single animal, as an organism. And he said, think of it as an animal whose organs have not yet been fused together like a human being. He said some of the termites form the mouth and the digestive system. That's the workers. Some of the termites take the place of weapons and defense, like your immune system. And then the other termites take the form of the reproductive organs. It's like a single animal, rather than thinking it of separate little units. I'm so over the moon with this sighting, gone from the elephants and the hyenas to this. Must be warmer when they do sort of, when it's too cold. Again, you won't see the termites. They'll be active. They'll just be much further underground, keeping warm, just like all insects, ectothermic, powered by the sun. And for the likes of the aardwolf, which is part of the Hyaenidae family, the earth wolf, they're said to consume anywhere between 200,000 to 300,000 termites per night. Per night, can you believe it? That's a lot of termites. You'd wonder how they ever survive. Now, because they are highly nutritious, they contain about, I'm sure it's 38% protein, a lot of iron, they're very rich in iron, calcium, and essential fatty acids and amino acids. Relative to size, their protein content is said to be higher than beef. So they are the perfect snack for anything that's hungry. You really will. If a leopard comes across this mound and is hungry, it'll just lap up the termites. So would hyenas. And that's how nutritious they really are. And humans, believe it or not, have been known to eat them, especially in developing countries. Juliet, the workers will not travel far at all. Their food source, it's species dependent, but most termites rely on wood, and it's quite a complicated process for the termites because they can't actually digest the wood. I mean, who can digest wood, really? Doesn't sound delicious to me. And that's why they have fungal gardens. So they're actually great architects because they design the mound, but they also are gardeners. They have fungal gardens, and that's to help them break down the wood, essentially. So the fungal gardens act as their little digestive system. They can eat the fungus and help process the wood. And that's actually why they have such a terrible reputation, especially in the US. I'm sure they inflict more than $5 billion worth of property damage each year in the US alone because they eat wood. So sorry, the workers will not travel far. They will stick to their mound because they're protected by their soldiers, colonies here. and they communicate in the most fascinating ways. The soldiers here, you see them wandering. They're not feeding, they're protecting. They're acting as guards. Those big ones with the huge heads, they're not killing anyone, they're not feasting, they're guarding. They're protecting the workers. And the workers are at work. Ah, what an incredible sighting. I'm so happy I spotted that in the dark. I don't quite know how I did it. But we're going to bumble closer to home and see if anything is lurking on quarantine.
What a beautiful sunset. Let's just take a moment to just listen to the last remaining sounds of the day. I'm not in quarantine, I lied. I can't tear myself away. Just look at them go. Every single second is for the colony. And you wouldn't actually think an insect that spends such a great time in the dirt would be such a fastidious groomer. They make such an effort to stay clean, and they actually groom one another. Yes, we watch impalas do it, we watch leopards do it to their young, we watch hyenas do it, but termites groom one another, believe it or not, because good hygiene is really crucial to their survival in that mound. It keeps all the parasites away and the harmful bacteria that could completely wipe out a colony. They don't allow that. So even although they're always in the dirt on top of one another, they're actually incredible groomers. Has anyone been able to identify the big insects in the middle? I'm struggling through my little monitor. Hashtag Wild Earth if you can. I just wish this was in the daytime. And we could see this so clearly. But still, we're lucky all the same. Managing to look at termites in IR. And have you noticed there's no eye shine? There's no eyes. But those bigger insects, you can see their eyes. Amazing. And the soldiers communicate through head banging, through vibrations. That's how they communicate. There's danger ahead, everyone. And it's almost like a game of Chinese whispers. So the soldiers will position themselves and start banging their head. Oh. What do we have here? Hold on. Someone is standing in front of my car. I almost got a heart attack. It's a hyena. Hello, I see you. I think it's Sutu. We've seen everybody today. Sutu's there.
She's walking behind the mound, though. Oh no, everybody's here. We've got 3 or 4 hyenas. They smell something. I hope they don't come to eat my termites. They've all gone behind the vegetation, but they'll show you them. Show you this hyena. I wonder what everybody's up to. Rob, it takes a very long time. I'm sure there was an estimation the size of a football, and I think it's an American football, which is very different from what I would call football. And the South Africans call it soccer, which is just crazy. Football is football. But the American football, the size of an American football can take up to 7 years for a mound that small. So the size of a hyena down, years and years and years. These structures can be so old, and then they can become disused. So they're no longer used by termites. And that's when other creatures make most of them. And this is why you cannot have an ecosystem like this without the termites. It's so fundamental. And it's slightly worrying. There's lots of studies being done, especially in Swallow right now under Dylan. It's fascinating. When I was there, they're doing incredible work about the animals or the species that specialize in eating termites, like your aardvark, like your pangolin, like your aardwolf. What's going to happen when climate change takes place, and if climate change takes place? If the temperatures rise and the moisture decreases, termites are not going to be able to survive. How are they? They require moisture. So if the rainfall decreases, what's going to happen to the termites? Then what's going to happen to those species that feed on the termites, solely feed on the termites? It's going to have a knock-on effect. They've seen many aardvarks. I'm sure Deirdre can tell you a lot more than I about starving aardvarks. Aardvarks that are changing their daily patterns so drastically because they're not meeting their nutritional or energy requirements. Then what's going to happen to the entire ecosystem? Hear that? Listen. I feel like I should respond. That's the hyenas getting ready to hunt or scavenge for the night. They're communicating. But just what's going to happen if termites decrease or are completely wiped out, even from a local ecosystem? It's going to have such a knock-on effect on the entire ecosystem, not just the species that feed on them. Because once termites stop using a mound, oh, there they are, everybody's here, Simon. Three of them. Is that June? I think that's June at the back. I think it's everybody from the den. And we're at the completely opposite side of the reserve. Wow. Everything is happening around us. I'm glad they didn't come and lick up the termites, though. No, it's normally the alates that they go for when the alates stream out of the mound. The workers actually escort the alates, and the alates is just another word for the reproductive males and females, future kings and queens. The workers actually escort the alates to the exit. The alates will fly, and then once everybody's departed, they'll actually seal up the exit again. I really can't figure out what insects are in the middle there. Maybe that leaves promise for tomorrow in daylight. And not only do termites create mounds, Celeste, no, they never sleep. Can you believe it? They work 24 hours a day. They get enough nutrition and they just go, go, go. I always thought that insects would take at least some rest, but they don't. They really don't. And not only do they build the mounds that are so integral and so important and crucial to the environment, they're little green machines. People don't realize this, but they are hands down nature's best recyclers, really. They burrow tirelessly, they aerate the soil, they allow that by moving the soil and aerating it. You also allow rainwater to trickle in, and overall, you're allowing all the nutrients to mix in the soil, and that is also fundamental. That must happen for the soil. It allows the ground to stay healthy and fertile. And by feeding on cellulose, some termites will also feed on plants, not just wood. Depends on the species. You do get a lot of different species. They will also feed on decaying plant matter, which of course helps, well, clean up the ecosystem. And their sticky excretions, yes, they do excrete sticky whatnot. From feeding on all the cellulose actually holds the soil together, and that prevents erosion. So they're putting dead plants back into the soil, they're fertilizing it, they're aerating it, they're allowing new ones to grow. It's unbelievable. And there's also a recent study that it was thought that only legumes can fix nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen, and fix it and bring it back into the food chain. But it's believed that the hindgut of some termite species can also fix nitrogen. So once it's fixed from the atmosphere, it can enter the food chain, and then it can be used by other animals and plants. Atmospheric nitrogen is not available. And it's because they have a shortage of dietary nitrogen. That's why they'll be fixing it. By fixing it, they're bringing it back into the food chain. And it's special microbes in their hindgut that do that. And of course, nitrogen makes up about 79% of the air that we breathe. But yet it's not all available to all organisms. And of course, by being such a fundamental part of the food chain themselves, unknowingly and unwillingly, it's very important. So many species rely heavily on eating termites. I just think they're incredible. I've really been studying them, and oh no. I think our IR light has gone once again. Simon is trying to work magic in the back. You are now looking at a wonderful screen of darkness. We may have to go into colour, and you'll have to put up with my face once again. We'll try and get our IR light working, but if not, we'll go into colour.
Welcome back to Tualu, and we're just sitting quietly on the edge of the dam, just watching the day end. It's just a spectacular scene there with the sort of pinky blue clouds reflected in the water. There's a pair of dab chicks on the water at the moment, and we say a pair, you can... it's difficult to tell them apart, but you do normally see them in a pair. So some books will call them dab chicks, and others will call them little grebes. So just busy feeding on aquatic insects. Quite a fast swimmer, and you can see when they've got that rufous colour across the front of the chest with that white sort of spot on the side, that's their breeding plumage. And this pair will they nest on the water, but they'll put lots of reeds together and make a sort of a mound risen up and out of the water, and then the female will lay the eggs on top of that sort of mass of grass, and she'll sit low in the nest that's almost like floating on water. And then if there's any disturbances, she'll quickly grab sort of green leafy material and cover the eggs, and then slip off the nest, dive into the water, then sort of paddle a little bit and swim away from the nest and pop up away from the water surface. So just such a stunning scene with the little grebe dabchick picking up lots of aquatic insects on the water. Just absolute stunning. And we actually had a is the tortoise still there, Darby? Let's see. We had a leopard tortoise that was doing a lap around the dam. So it got halfway. It also did a little bit of a swimming through the water like the one earlier, but no, he's gone. He's made it out the water, and he's headed out. So we came to the dam to see what else was down here. We just had a gemsbok that came down to drink, and it's unusual. The gemsbok don't drink every day. They don't need to drink water every day, so it is nice to see that gemsbok drinking water. So that's like that calm above the water, and you can just imagine those little dabchick legs going a mile a minute underneath there to just keep paddling them around and around. And they'll also dive under the water for fish. And if there's any fish, there's also a very interesting adaptation that they've had, is that they actually consume some of their own feathers. And consuming their own feathers helps them with the fish scales and fish slime. It actually helps process the fish parts through the body. So a very unusual thing that those little grebes do. Just so beautiful. So that was just another beautiful day in Africa. We can really thank you very, very much for joining us. Make sure that you join us tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock Central African time from all the different properties: Djuma, Pridelands, Pinda, Ngala, and of course Tswalu. That's where you're ending this evening. So we will see you tomorrow.